Hello, and welcome to the Rabyd Atheist. I'm Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like or dislike the video as you see fit, so feel free to hit those buttons. Feel free to comment below, and I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and hit your notification bell for more content as it is released. You're also free to share my videos as much as you like, because the purpose of this channel is educational in regards to atheist and deconversion issues, and any issues related to those issues. A hearty shout out to the Rabyd Nation. Join the nation by hitting that subscribe button. And if you want to be a paying citizen and an actual citizen of the Rabyd Nation, hit that join button and you will be given your citizenship options. Any support is greatly appreciated. We're getting much closer to that ad revenue. Just broke 3,500 watch hours today, so I'm kind of stoked. Today we're going to do Sundays with the Rabyd Atheist. This is for November 19th, 2023. We're coming in on Thanksgiving season, and so I have a couple of things I want to do at the end in that spirit, although I will probably do a Thanksgiving video on Thursday as well as my normal video, so maybe I'll hold off till then. But today on Sundays with Rabyd Atheist, I'm moving everything on Sundays to comments and addressing comments and the tenor of comments and things like that. And so today on tap I have the idea of assertions without evidence, which I have got a ton of this week. I also had a comment from Jenna about humanity growing up, and I found it so interesting that I felt that it kind of goes along with the main theme of all these subjects today, which I'll get to at the end. But this idea of where are we as a human race on planet Earth? What level of growing up are we? Still in our childhood? Have we reached adolescence? Have we hit adulthood? I'll talk about that in a minute. I also have a scary comment that I want to address. I'll even post it up here. I'm going to leave the person's name off, and I'm not going to tell you where I got it, other than it got hit here on the channel. And then the last off, on my video on Friday, my deconstruction video, I talked about different reasons to not be afraid, and I had somebody accuse me of being afraid myself, and I want to address that comment. Basically, there is something I'm afraid of, but it's nothing religious anymore. So let's get started with assertions without evidence. Oh my God. The assertions this week. Oh, Earth's definitely designed. Evidence, please. No, it's designed. You just can't see it. Evidence, please. I'm starting to sound like a broken record when I say evidence, please, because anybody can make a claim. I can claim that the moon is made out of green cheese unless I throw up a rocket up there, grab some green cheese from it, and bring it back, and document the whole process. Nobody's going to believe me, nor should they. My main problem this week has been spending a lot of time asking for evidence for the assertions that theists make and not getting any. As usual, it's become so typical. The last one typical, no evidence. You're making these assertions about God and the Bible and whatever. And I began to realize, well, why is that? And then I suddenly realized that the vast majority of religious claims, the vast majority of religious thought, the vast majority of biblical holy books, when you look at them, is assertion without evidence. Okay, you can, simply asserting facts as if they're true because it's in a holy book. And so part of the indoctrination process is getting people to believe that if you make an assertion that's backed by a holy book or a reverend or your idea of God, then it's just true and you don't have to prove it. And I'm still waiting. I look at the Bible now and look back at it. A lot of it is assertion without evidence. This is what happened. Evidence, please. Do you have any other historical people that back this up, or are you just telling a story? No evidence? Oh, wow. When I was a preacher, I also realized how much of this I did where I would assert things without evidence. So I'd just say something along the lines of, this proves this point, and did I ever back it up? No. A lot of preaching is very similar to the Bible, and so what you end up doing is giving a lot of assertions without evidence. You don't actually have to prove anything. And, the statement preaching to the choir really comes home with a lot of preaching, because people, just assert stuff. Like, I remember listening to a sermon by Joel Osteen, and the guy literally said the same thing over and over the same assertion. You have to have the favor of God. God's favor is what you need. I mean, literally taking God's favor and stuff that you need to seek, rearranging the sentence 100 different ways, and that's all he said over and over. And it was assertion. It was a million ways of making the same assertion without evidence. And preachers do this all the time. Sit and listen to a preacher sometime and ask yourself, do yourself a count of how many times a preacher asserts something but doesn't give any evidence for it. Do the same thing with the Bible sometime when you're reading it, and whether there's an assertion without evidence. Okay, I remember as a theologian, and I don't know, nobody's given me an answer whether an atheist can still be a theologian. I think so, maybe not. I don't know. Comments, please. But can I say that theology was about taking various assertions without evidence and trying to make them make sense without adding any more evidence? That just, what theology became for me is taking these assertions that I couldn't prove and mixing, matching them, re-looking at them, all trying to make them make sense. And what would have really made them make sense if there had actually been some evidence behind any of it. So what's my point of bringing up the assertions without evidence? I'm probably not going to address any more comments that are just assertions without evidence anymore. I may give them a thumbs down, but I'm not going to. You theists out there need to do better. Okay, give me your evidence for the existence of God. Don't give me your assertions. Claiming something's design. I mean, so what? As Christopher Hitchens eloquently put it, suppose you do prove there's a designer, you still have all your work ahead of you proving your religion. Okay, so what? You've proven a designer, but it doesn't mean it's your God. You have to prove that your God belongs there. So I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of assertions without evidence, and the fact that people make these belief statements based on assertions with no evidence to back them up is really interesting to me. Because I think it's what leads people, and I don't know all the psychology, I'm not a psychologist, but I think it leads people to have very delusional understanding. They can assert something about themselves and believe it because their religion is based on assertions without evidence. Their holy book is assertions without evidence. Their preachers are giving them assertions without evidence, and they think that that makes that factual and a good argument. And so when they come along, they can start to think of themselves something, like one of my favorites ones, well, I'm a child of God, or I'm a king's kid. It's like, that's a real ego trip. Okay, it really is, and we're going to see that in a little bit. But, I just want to understand that I am so tired of the assertions without evidence, theists. Give me some evidence. You can't just make a truth claim without giving some evidence to it. Otherwise, I'm just going to dismiss it. I think I'm going to take Hitchens' razor advice, okay, that anything asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. I'm not even going to address it. Okay, until you give me something that has some evidence behind it, you're not being a very good apologist. I will make a little teaser with that for Monday's video. I'm going to be addressing a verse of Scripture that is the most ignored in some ways by the apologist. And I want to talk about that on Monday, so stay tuned for that video tomorrow when it's released. Or if you're watching this later, just look through Monday videos and you'll find it. Okay, I'm sure it'll be tagged as something. Number two, Jenna is a longtime subscriber and longtime commenter, one of my favorite commenters, and she has some really good astute observations. She also based on my analytics, she's one of the few females around here. It makes me kind of worried. But it's also interesting to me that she makes this comment about how she imagines a day when religion isn't an influence on the world so that we actually grow up. And her observation is right now I feel like humanity is in its adolescence, okay, that we've moved away from childhood and we're starting to come into our adolescence. And we're starting to throw off childish notions. And religion, to us as atheists, is a childish notion. Belief, faith, these are childish notions that we no longer need. We may have needed this authoritative stuff when we were children, but we don't need it anymore. We're starting to develop our own mind. We're starting to develop our own ways of thinking as a human race. Now, I'm going to say I think we're really early in that adolescence phase. I agree with her, and I think we are really in that early in that adolescence phase. But the reason I say that is, while secular nations, nations that have a high degree of freedom, where people are allowed to choose their religion or their faith or belief or non-belief, whatever it might be, and then you have the combination of continuing advancing information technology in particular, but technology in general, those are the countries that faith and religion are dropping off the sharpest. Okay, whenever you bring in science and reason, technology, and you give people freedom to choose their religious beliefs take a hit. A lot of people, what about the United States? It seems to be an exception. It's an exception because there was a successful indoctrination campaign during the Cold War that labeled godless communists with our enemy, the Soviet Union. And so people held on to faith as a way of, pushing back against that. Well, now that no longer exists. And since the end of the Cold War, we have seen, even in the United States, a dramatic drop in religious affiliation. And I think I agree with some commenters that religious affiliation is actually overstated. I don't think a lot of people go to church on Sunday anymore. Okay, there's some, but you're talking a smaller and smaller percentage, and it's aging, like it's getting older. It's estimated that 6,000 to 10,000 churches in the United States close every year. Okay, because they don't have enough people to keep the doors open, and that's a trend that's going to continue for quite some time, I think, and that's going to be a real problem for them. But if we're going to grow up, I think there's a few things we're going to need to get rid of as well. I think religion needs to go. It's a product of our childhood as a species. It's what kept us not afraid of the dark. It's now we light up the dark with electric lights. It kept us from It gave meaning and purpose to us when we didn't realize that we could do that for ourselves. It's that authoritative totalitarian mindset of certain people being the parents of the rest of us. Well, we no longer need that, and we need to grow up. I think superstitions and stuff like that. I hope that we get a chance to grow up, because I'm going to address this in my last thing for today, what I'm really afraid of. But if we do get a chance to grow up, I do see in 200 or 300 years the vast majority of the world being secular and religion on its last legs. And I really hope that that's the case, because I think we deserve better than what we've gotten from religion in the past. We need to drop the, how shall I say it, all this stuff that allows us to be tribalistic against each other and realize there's only one tribe, humanity. And once we realize that and start backing each other up, I think we'll be a lot better off. But tribalism is never going to completely go away. It's an inherent part of our existence as human beings, and it has saved our butts a couple of times as the human race. But there's that. All right, I want to deal with what I consider to be a scary comment. I'm going to put it up right now, and I'll read off some of it. The first part of the comment is about this guy that can do pi to whatever many places, and God gave him that knowledge. And I'm just going to dismiss that and say, listen, there's like 100 different explanations of why that guy can do it that have nothing to do with God. And why do you think it's your God in particular? Might be Odin. Maybe it's Zeus that gave him that ability. I don't know. But you don't have the right to make this assertion without evidence, going back to my first point, without some evidence. So what? Maybe the guy's neurology just makes it easy for him to reinvent math. A lot of people have reinvented math without knowing a math textbook. So, it doesn't necessarily require a supernatural explanation. But I want to read the rest of it. He says, I am special, very special. I'm a child of God. You are a background character. That's right. You're a background character. I sift wheat from the chaff. You can't. You can't do it because it has to be about you, and it's not, never and ever will be in that mess up in your head. Okay, I'm having trouble reading today. Atheist babies are all going to cry, 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 and still not get what they want. And I know way, way more about God and the universe than any other person on this planet. I don't know what to do with this other than be very frightened in some respects that people think this way. This is what I'm talking about. We got to get rid of this stuff. Because what religion does is, obviously, this person thinks very highly of themselves. It's funny how, atheists can't get what they want. Okay, well, first of all, I don't know what atheists want. Okay, I know secularists, like myself, want a world without religion. I would think, actually, that would be very beneficial if we didn't have stupid reasons to kill each other and be bigoted towards each other. I think that would be pretty good. But this idea you're a child of God, assertion without evidence, I'm a background character. That's also assertion. I've got news for you, dude. We're all background characters when it comes to the size of the universe. And if you think differently, you need to consider how small we are in the vastness of the universe. But to make this claim that you understand more about God and the universe than any other person on the planet, wow, dude, your head got big. Okay, that's arrogance. That's pride. Okay, I'm going to call it what it is. I'm the prideful one. I'm the guy that's the problem because I'm an atheist. And I dismiss, I don't find the evidence convincing of God's existence, so therefore I'm the arrogant one. Dude, your head is so big, I'm not sure it fits in the universe. Okay, I'm scared of this kind of comment because this guy's like literally this close to being a cult leader or justifying anything, including whatever, based on his belief. Because if you understand the mind of God, then you can just do anything and say, well, God told me to do it. This is the mentality right here that causes people to do very, very dumb things in the name of God and somehow think it's okay. God's telling me to do it. You have no proof for any of this, by the way. You've made a lot of assertions here, but you've given us no evidence. As far as atheists being babies, that's kind of condescending. I mean, if you're trying to reach atheists, it's probably not a good line, by the way. In fact, I'll probably go into that a little bit on Monday. If you're going to reach atheists, I've tried to help you apologists out and you Christians out of how you'd reach atheists, but most of you don't listen. So I'm not crying about anything, okay? I don't know what you think I'm crying about. What I'm doing is pointing out to you that you don't have any evidence for your claim. And that's my problem, okay? You want me to believe in something and order my life according to something that you have no evidence for. And, you're a very, very special person. You're very special. I think so, but not in the way you think. This is the kind of comment that scares the crap out of me because this person is so convinced themselves of the truth of what they're saying. I mean, I hope they're a troll, but I don't think they are because I used to hear this kind of crap out of Pentecostals too, when I was a Pentecostal minister, that they were a child of God led by the Spirit and whatever, and they could do no wrong. And once you think you understand more than everybody else, you've graduated to a level of hubris, a level of, where you could be a complete psychopath and think God is telling you to do it, okay? And I worry about this person. I really do. I hope I don't see him in the news soon. But it's like, you, dude. And it's this stuff that makes me think we're not going to reach our adolescence, because the last thing I want to talk about was what I'm really scared of. I'm not scared of religion anymore. I'm not scared of your holy books. I'm not scared of God. I'm not scared. None of those things exist to me, or they have no value. What I am scared of is this mentality right here that allows people to think this, and the apocalyptic mindset of a lot of these religions. I wonder if somebody's going to blow us to hell up before we get a chance to grow up. And it's probably going to be religiously motivated. I now see, if I look at worldwide, all religions have their dangers, but Islam is the most dangerous one, in my opinion, because of this apocalyptic, bring about the end of the world bullshit that they believe. And then I wouldn't mind so much, but we still got some of those people here in America that are supporting Israel, trying to bring about the end of the world. And my fear is that religious belief will get control enough where they will let loose a virus or launch nukes or whatever, and watch us all burn and sit there, oh, I can't wait until my Messiah comes back. And then the Messiah doesn't come back and we're all dead. Okay. I hope humanity gets to grow up enough before that happens, before we get to that level. But I'm very afraid that we won't get a chance to. I don't have much fear of much of anything else. I mean, I'll be dead and it won't matter, but it's like I want humanity to do better. And I don't think religion allows us to do better because we're continuing to believe in things that can't be demonstrably proven and can't be falsified. So it's like that doesn't make it stronger, it makes it weaker. And it's this kind of scary comment where somebody thinks so highly of themselves that they can do no wrong is just scary to me, because then you can justify anything. And the problem is we have whole religious people like this, whole countries like this, led by leaders like this, who think this way. And that is a real scary thing, because in that mental state you can justify anything. And it's when you start believing assertions without evidence to the point that you're doing this, you really challenge whether humanity is going to grow up. And you end up in this mindset where you can literally justify anything. And if the wrong person gets in a position of power with the right weapon, okay, for them, they could end humanity in the name of a religion that has no evidence, nothing but assertions, and is false, just straight up false. That's my fear. And it's why secularism needs to fight against that part. Now, you can be a secularist and not be an atheist. I think that's one of the real other challenging things this week, where the worldview thing, your worldview is this and this. No, atheism only is dealing with the God claim. That's it. Secularism is another matter. Naturalism, humanism, those are things I also ascribe to. But, those are debatable, and I can do a lot of things with those. And they don't necessarily follow from my atheism. So a lot of people continue to get that wrong. And it's because you've learned to accept assertions without evidence as somehow being true. And it leads us down the path of wondering whether humanity is going to get a chance to actually get through adolescence. Because let's also be honest about adolescence. It's probably our most self-destructive time because we haven't figured it out yet. We make a lot of bad decisions. I just hope we don't make a fatal bad decision as a human race. That's my biggest fear. That's my real fear. And I think the basis for that bad decision is going to be secularism. It's going to be religion. Some apocalyptic religion is going to do bleh, and secularism needs to stand against it. Just another thing. Another offhanded comment. This one's a little bit more channel related. Background music. I don't know. Everybody's made a lot of suggestions. One guy even gave me a clip of some musical piece, which I did actually like. My mom was big into classical music, so she kind of, taught me down that vibe. My dad was more into other things like Johnny Cash and Ian Calvita and Iron Butterfly, if you didn't know, wrote that song. He loved Janis Joplin and some of these other characters, and I learned a lot of the 50s, 60s groovy kind of stuff from him, plus Johnny Cash and a few other country singers. So there was that. But yeah, so I don't know what would be a good back. I'm kind of partial to Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla riffs and many others. I grew up with a lot of different musical tastes, so I guess I'd be interested. What do you think the best theme song for the Rabyd Atheist would be, where he's not going to get in trouble for copyright? Just let me know what you think in the comments. It'd be interesting to see. I am trying to think about whether or not I want an intro and an outro that's just canned. That way I could just slap it on the front and the back and then just do the video in the middle. It would save me a little time to do it that way. So we'll see. But thank you very much for stopping by. It's been a great one. This is, the comments this week just led me down a certain line of thinking of are we going to get a chance to grow up when people take as fact assertions without evidence to the point that they twist their brain to where they think they can do wrong? That's just scary to me, and hopefully, we'll do better as a human race in the future. But it's still up to a lot of things, and a lot of people are still religious. So here we go. Thanks once again for stopping by. I appreciate every single like, share, and subscribe. Continue to help me grow the channel. It's been great. It's growing faster and faster the more subscribers I get, and I get like 1 or 2 a day. So it's been growing steadily and consistently. And also the watch hours are growing steadily, and it's consistency. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Remember to live your best life. You only get one go around, and then it's over. So make sure you're living for your own happiness and your own well-being, and the well-being of others that you care about and love in this world that we live in. Do your best because it'll make you a lot happier. It really will. Don't waste all your time, money, and opportunities on the trappings of faith and religion. That's a dead end. I know from experience. Thanks once again for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.